Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Champagne Wives podcast. I'm your host, Kelly.
And I'm your co-host, Nicole. Hey, gals.
Hi.
How are you?
Oh, not doing good.
Okay.
This week I actually have something to talk about. I'm not doing good.
Oh, okay. Jeez.
I just have a cold.
Okay.
And you know how when I catch a cold, I lose my voice. So voice is just now starting to come back. But it's just been a rough weekend.
Okay.
So we had a great weekend.
Yeah.
Had, spent quality time with family. It was a really great weekend, as you know, but ended up getting sick after that. So I am pushing through. I'm operating at about an 85% capacity tonight.
Okay. Well, we'll take 85.
85.
It's a tag in, tag out. So if the voice decides that it's done for the day.
I don't know why I'm always losing my voice.
See, there it goes.
There it goes.
So
I just don't understand why I always lose my voice. It's like literally a thing. But girl, here's a funny story. So yesterday,
have a sip of champagne. Maybe that will help.
I had like 4 sips already.
Okay.
It's actually might be making it worse because I was good until I started drinking.
You were good.
I was good. So yesterday had no voice. Today, my boss scheduled a call between like the team, me, her, and like another one of my peers. So why all three of us, none of us had a voice between all three of us.
Voiceless in Seattle.
Voiceless in Seattle. Voiceless in Florida, Texas, and Colorado, where we all live, like completely voiceless, all three of us. So we were on the call, like talking like this, but worse, because like we're going in and out, could barely hear each other. But it was funny. But yeah, so trying to get myself back, I guess, to 100%. But I'm here. I made it.
So yesterday she calls me before we're supposed to record, and she's like, "Hey, girl." like, wait. You don't sound good.
Do you have to do that? Do you have to do the invitation? Do you have to? Is that necessary?
Just a little bit. But it was just, I've never heard your voice bad.
Really?
Never heard it that bad.
We've had to cancel a lot of times because I don't have a voice.
I just think maybe you've texted me and not like
called you. Well, maybe I wanted to call you to show you that I wasn't just bullshitting.
That's what I was like, oh, she calling me to let me know she for real.
That's what it was. I called you to let you know that I wasn't bullshit because I would lose a voice.
Yeah.
But the quickness.
My voice is the first thing to go too, but not that bad.
Yeah.
Not that bad. That was really bad.
I lose it terribly. But y'all know I already had like some respiratory issues. So I've been coughing like for the last 2 episodes at least. I've been coughing on the mic, coughing in the studio.
Right.
But it was manageable. Like the mucus was like white. I was just waiting.
What are we talking
I know. But I'm just saying sometimes, it takes a long time for coughs to go away.
That's true. They could be
But
lingering.
I knew that it wasn't infected because, again,
the condition of the
mucus. And I didn't have any fevers or any other symptoms.
Right.
But then after this weekend, it actually took a turn for the worst. So I had to reach out to my
PCP?
My nurse bestie. My nurse bestie who told me, some medicines to get, some over-the-counter medicines to take. So feeling a little bit better. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Well, glad you're on the up and up.
Appreciate it, boo.
And glad that we're here. We made it. Pushing
How
through
was your weekend?
by definition.
Should have been really good.
What?
Should have had a good weekend. A really good weekend.
Yeah, you know what? It's interesting. This weekend, I actually, I didn't do much. I stayed in. Friday, Saturday, I stayed in and was really happy to do that. I didn't have my kids this weekend. So I think the natural inclination is to go out and seize the moment and do all these things.
I'm a touch.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
You're good. The natural inclination is just to be out and about. But I just felt naturally inclined to stay inside. And, sometimes that's a test because I am a busybody, as you know.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to just prove to myself that I could stay put.
Yeah.
And pardon me, my eyelash is doing some things. So if I get stuck with my eye and you see it on camera or you see it, just know that I'm okay.
Trust me, I had to relinquish the lashes and free myself, child, because... I get it. I got you. If I see it slipping, I'll let you know.
Well, yeah, you see it slipping or you just see the gripping because it's not letting go. And if I look distracted, I apologize. We're in Texas, as you know, and the heat wave of heat waves continues. And my AC in the upstairs decided to poop the bed.
That.
So I have my AC guy there now trying to look at it. Just hopefully it's just a block of ice around the coil and we just need to defrost it. But if I look distracted or looking at my phone, that's what it is. Anyway.
Well, you can't go without AC in Texas, child. Like, you just cannot. It's not even an option.
No.
Not
like,
an
it's
option.
actually, if I understand it correctly, there are certain states in the country that if you don't necessarily have to have heat, but if you don't have AC, it's considered illegal if you're a landlord.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think
should know that,
Texas is one of them.
I don't know that.
I think your units are okay.
I should know. Being that I'm a real estate agent, I just never.
You're talking about a real estate agent.
Right. I should know that, but that's new to me, child.
I mean, don't quote me on it.
Okay.
You know,
I was like, I didn't learn that in school.
But I know, like up north, they're like, if you don't have heat, you don't necessarily have to have AC, but if you don't have heat, it's deemed illegal and you could be called a slumlord. Anyway, so weekend was calm. Spent some time trying to just make sure that the kids, their affairs were in order as we get ready. School starts next week. I don't even know how this is even possible, but school starts next week. So just wanted to make sure that we had our clothes or back to school clothes.
Oh, you did all that?
I mean, I did a haul.
Did you? Oh, you just ordered. Okay.
I just ordered.
I know I'm too late. So I'm going to have to go out and actually.
I don't know if you're too late.
But I have not been like out school shopping for clothes in a long time. I always do my shopping online. But this year I feel like it's snuck on me because we're starting earlier than we usually do.
But I think if you were to shop tomorrow, you have just about a week. You could get stuff in time.
But yeah, I would have to pay $30 for expedited shipping. Who has time for that?
Shipping is not 7 days.
And then I got to try clothes on my girl because these kids done grew. You know, my kids spent a summer with their grandmother, so they've been just doing whatever they wanted to do. So
just eating and growing.
Eating and growing. So I don't know what size these children are anymore. Child, I need to try on clothes.
Fair. So yeah, just a chill weekend. Spent a lot of time scrolling the nets and got pulled into dark feminine power TikTok and then resulted in me just cleaning house personally, which was kind of cool and refreshing.
You like to clean the algorithm every now and again.
I do.
I just let it clean itself out, child.
Yeah, I
don't want to miss something on the old algorithm.
And we're going to talk about the algorithm. We're going to talk about the algorithm.
Leave my algorithm alone, child.
So there are a couple of pages that we share on account of the podcast, and we'll talk TikTok. There's the TikTok IG Champagne Wives Podcast, TikTok handle, not IG, Champagne Wives Podcast, and then I have my own private TikTok, but we can both see each other. We can both see CWP. Yeah, she can't see my personal stuff, but we can both see CWP. And the CWP timeline is just full of. We talked about this, but it's full of just scary shit.
It is.
People going missing.
Like all kind of shit.
CSI, ID channel type shit.
They call it like TikTok investigates.
Yes. Is that what they call it?
That's what I'll be watching.
I'm tired of you.
I know, it's sad. And that's why I be up at night, eyes wide open, like can't go to sleep because my anxiety is just on a high alert, child, because I just saw some shit on TikTok that got my nerves bad. No. I can't help it. No. It's entertaining, but it's so entertaining, but you can't take your eye for me. Like I can't, sometimes I have to, but for the most part, I love that kind of stuff.
So I don't mess with the algorithm. All I do is post the
Please don't.
The
I think you know at this point not to mess with my algorithm.
I only see the stories that pop up while I'm waiting for the reels or the stories
and I love you for that because it's like a baby with a pacifier. Like, you know that I like my algorithm. She does not mess with my algorithm. She just lets me have
I don't like anything. I don't swipe. I don't do anything.
Don't do anything. She just lets me have the algorithm and I don't go and do nothing. She just posts and leave me alone.
That's friendship.
I appreciate. Cheers, babe. I appreciate that. The fact that you don't mess up my algorithm, it's always the same.
Always the same.
It starts where I left it. It starts back where I left it.
Oh, it does.
Every time.
That's so funny. That's so funny. So yeah, good weekend. Really good weekend. And Like I said, it's still hot. We're still dying over here. But shout out to all of y'all who have actually like tapped in to the conversation around reinventing yourself. Every once in a while, we check the numbers, and y'all are really listening to that episode.
It was a good episode.
It was a good episode. We have a lot of nuggets that we were able to pull from that. Y'all are really loving the reels. You're loving the episode. You're loving to listen to it a little bit more than you're loving to watch it. But
on those car rides to and from work.
Mm-hmm. That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. Your entertainment purposes only.
Exactly. We're your commute besties.
Right.
But when we ended the conversation last week, we started talking a little bit about Sukihana. Mm-hmm. Remember Sukihana, who I'm sure she rose to fame in other ways, but the way that I learned about Sukihana was from Love and Hip Hop Miami. Mm-hmm. And she, I think, was maybe on for 1 or 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. And she was an up-and-coming rapper from the surrounding area of Miami. I don't know.
Really? Was she from? I thought she was from Philly.
No. Maybe she's from Philly, but I mean, I thought she was from, don't quote me if anybody that is listening or watching from Miami, but she was from
she was in like the
Love and Hip Hop Miami
that franchise. Yeah. Okay.
And she's from one of the surrounding areas that are a little rough and tumble. Mm-hmm. Up and coming rapper, and was provocative on the show. Mm-hmm. And overtly sexual. Mm-hmm. I don't think she lasted maybe more than 2 seasons, if memory serves me correctly. Nevertheless, she kind of went away and then kind of came back. Yeah. Like 3 years or so later, came back. I'm not sure what prompted her resurgence. But most recently, there's some footage that showcases her in front of Buckingham Palace. She did a Euro tour, and spent some time in London, and was, I guess, videoed leaving Buckingham Palace saying the most vulgar of things after she posed in front of the palace for some pictures. Yeah. And it begs the question just around social responsibility. That was a good one.
Oh, thank you.
Social responsibility as people of color, specifically Black people, right? Yeah. Especially when you're a celebrity and you have a position and a platform. And do we bear, as people of color, but we're going to speak specifically just, to Black people, but no, we can keep the conversation up. It's fine. As people of color, brown people, marginalized people, do we have a responsibility to kind of carry the race, carry the gender, carry the ethnicity on our back and make sure that we're putting a good foot forward? Or should we just be moving, living, experiencing this world and this new space and platform that we have authentically?
I think the second part, yes. Mm-hmm. But the second option. But I mean, that doesn't mean that you go out and act ass. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously, we talked about reinvention last episode topic, and we talked about just being who you want to be, being, yourself, right? So I do think that people, specifically people of color, because we have a history of not being able to show up as our most true and authentic selves, should be able to move throughout this world how they want to. Yeah. But what she did was ridiculous. I think there should be some type of parameters of how far you will go. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To each its own. I mean, I feel liberal and allowing people to be themselves, do what they want to do. As long as you're not impacting me or mine, then live your best life. But I do think that at a certain point, when I got some shit to say, it's just you have gone entirely too far. That's ignorance. Yeah. I don't like ignorance. I do though think that with a certain level of notoriety, celebrity, there is some responsibility, but I just think that the times that we're living in is so different. And it's not about, class, in a lot of instances, you know, class and style and grace, a lot of it's about the shock value, the raunchiness, who could be the loudest, who could be the most vulgar, who could be the most provocative. And that's unfortunate, but I think that, you know, for me and mine, like we both have daughters. And so what I try to do is, you know, obviously be that example for my child. And I know like some celebrities have said in the past, like, I am not I don't want to be a role model for your child. I don't want to be a role model for your kids. And I agree, like you should be your own kids' role models. And then also I control what my children consume. Like there ain't no goddamn way. Like I'm letting them listen to some of these songs. Of course, not watching the videos. So yeah, I do think there's a certain level of responsibility that we as Black women especially have when we make it to a certain point in terms of, you know, fame and notoriety. But I also feel like there's space for everybody's personality. So there's people in the world that are from where Suki is from and act how she acts and identify with that, right? There's people in the world who look at us and, you know, we come from similar backgrounds as we do and act how we act and, you know, enjoy the content that we put out. And so I think we need to be mindful and cognizant of that as well. But it's a slippery slope because I don't want to be like, don't be yourself, because that's just, I think, playing into the system and a race. Because, you know, we've always been told that we have to act better, be calm, be more proper. You know what I mean? So I don't want to, I don't want to get into that either. But yeah, there's some level of responsibility that we have to have.
Yeah. I agree. I do think there's a level of responsibility that we do have to have, or that celebrities need to have as they are ascending and taking, you know, and getting larger platforms. I'm conflicted because a lot of things that I preach here, at home, at work, are around being the most authentic version of yourself and authenticity. Exactly. And I feel that my opinion on this is in contradiction of that. But I do think that there is something to be said about striking that healthy balance around not going as far as like Sukihana went, or even, you know, we can name out artists like Cardi.
Right.
But not necessarily being on the other side where you just like don't allow your personality to show at all because you are trying to appease the social constructs or fit within the social construct.
Yeah.
And if there's a celebrity that I think probably does it the best, and you know, I'm biased. There's two who I think do it really well. Beyonce and Rihanna. I think they do it very well in that they are able to, Rihanna probably a little bit more than Beyonce, because I do think that Beyonce is still very curated and produced when it comes to her image and what she allows out. But I get that. She's a mother of 3. And
she's like a mega celebrity. Like,
well, and
she's
so
on a
Rihanna,
whole new level. That's true.
That's
true.
You know,
she is.
We've had
not to take anything from her. That's true. She absolutely is.
But they do it a little differently. They do it a little differently. And I completely understand why and how Beyonce chooses. She's had her life play out publicly. Rihanna has had a lot of things in her life play out publicly
and
as well.
She's a little bit younger too.
Exactly. So the amount of demure that Beyonce has might not necessarily be there with Rihanna. But then again, as an island girl, a Caribbean gal, I don't know if she plans on having that much, right? Demure. But she's very clear on making sure that she does things her way. But I don't think she would ever cross that line the way that we've seen, say, a Cardi or we've seen a Sukihana do it. But all that to say, I do believe as role models, even as at times provocative Rihanna can be, there's a lot about Rihanna that women and young girls can look up to. in terms of the entrepreneurial spirit, the boss bitch mentality,
and having dreams and like working hard,
starting from the bottom. Now we're here, exactly. And I feel like when you've maybe accomplished that, maybe you can literally show your ass. Or at least like you're on a path to accomplishing that. So there's definitely levels to it, is what I would say. But depending on the level that you're at, I do think that there's probably, and especially to your point in this world where there's so much shock value, and the shock factor is what actually gets clicks and views, and we know that firsthand, right? With some of the reels and the content that we've dropped, there's still a level of social responsibility that needs to exist. But I don't know.
Again, there's a market for that. There's obviously, and I think for I think even though there's a market for it, when we talk about reinvention again, there's nothing wrong, I feel like, with aspiring to do more. So even though you may be, in a position like maybe Sukiyana was in the past, from the hood and just kind of like out there, right? I think that it's okay to aspire to do and become more and have role models that don't necessarily emulate, where you are, your upbringing, etc. So I think that when you know better, you do better. And I say that all the time. And so I think it's also beneficial to have just, people on both sides through all, in all facets. I said it during the podcast with Crew Season when what's his name, Otis OT, was talking about like the Instagram models and like how now the good girls are trying to dress like the models and
putting it differently
and post news
you're putting it differently
on social media. But that's true. But like I think the what do you call it? The standard has changed from like the 90s, right? So the 90s, again, you had like the Halle Berrys, the Robin Givens. There's a lot just more, natural, classy, covered beauty standards, right? And so that has transformed and transitioned over the last, 30 years to where we are right now. And it just seems like the standard that was in the 90s is now like the new all. Like if you see somebody who's not showing their ass, who's covered, who's, not completely made up or have, these different add-ons, BBLs or whatever the case may be that people have, then we're like, wow, we're amazed by that. But I remember a time.
They're unicorns.
Yeah. But I remember a time when that was the standard. And I think social media has played a lot into that as well. I think social media brings you into people's lives, their living rooms. And you know what I mean? Because even I wasn't aware of all these things that I'm aware of now.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? So I think social media has created a platform where people can show you where they're from, what they do, who they are. And I understand that. I don't understand just doing it for a check. Like, I really will not. I will not, like, if somebody who totally does not their personality, they don't even have to do that, but they're doing it just because they think they can get a rise out of people and a quick dollar. I don't respect that. Like I say all the time, for us and like where we are, it's important to me that we stay true to who we are. And where we are in life. And so if it takes a longer time or if it is another route, then I'm okay with that, because I don't want to do anything that, one, doesn't align to like my beliefs and values. And then two, that do something embarrassing, towards my family or, something your that kids. My daughter would feel embarrassed about looking up to me about, you know what I mean? So that's how I feel about it. If you're doing it just for a check, I don't respect that. Not at all.
And it's not that I want to sit here and say, because I was scrolling the internets today during the 5 minutes of time that I had free.
Girl, literally.
And I saw, and I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to like ask the question, but I saw, maybe it was on Cardi's, maybe it was on Offset's, but they were rooftop, probably in the second tower of the Palms Hotel in Vegas. And all you saw were cheeks clapping in a thong bathing suit in a pool. And I just said, and you know, she's there, he's there. And I just, you know, again, like, where's the social responsibility? Like, what are we glorifying?
Yeah.
What are we glorifying here? Like, are we trying to glorify like the relationship, my man, my man, my man? Are we trying,
or the BBL?
Like, are we trying to glorify the BBL? Are we trying to promote the hotel? Like,
yeah.
But at the end of the day, the first thing that came to mind for me was culture.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first thing that came to mind. And Offset's kids.
Yeah.
And not that we want to like turn this whole conversation into, you know, a celebrity thing, because we won't. But it's just, even when we think about some of the things that like have come, that we've said during this podcast, when I think about those things, I very much, sometimes I just have the ick factor like goes through the roof. Because I'm just like, my daughter, like, she can Google, even my son, he's like, champagne vibes, right? And like, he scrolls on YouTube and all of a sudden the reel or the short pops up. It
keeps me up at night. Sometimes when we're having these, and you know this, we talk about it. It keeps me up at night sometimes when I think that I've said something, you know, that maybe I didn't really want to say, or maybe that came off not necessarily how I intended it to. Like, it literally keeps me up at night when I sometimes go to sleep and replay these conversations. In my head. So I couldn't even imagine, child, being worried about them seeing me on the internet with my ass cheeks clapping.
Round of applause.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're so stupid.
That one even got me. Normally I could just go right past him. That one landed.
So stupid.
The audacity. Like, I couldn't. I couldn't. And so let's pivot a little bit though, because I was, as we were prepping for this, one of the reels that came up was from, I don't know if he's a doctor, but Dr. Omar, right? Umar, who I guess there have been conversations between him and Sukihana. Right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, where he was asked about that particular clip.
Yeah, and he said he wouldn't be able to date. Something he said he couldn't date her. But I didn't look at it though. Can you
at a
me
very high level, he was like,
okay,
I could not date a woman like her on account of the fact that she just needs to class it up. She needs to get it together. It's not that she's not an attractive woman, but she's got to understand that's she's doing too much.
Yeah.
And they have since, like, there's a photo of them together now.
They had a conversation. Yeah.
They did have a conversation. And here's what I will tell you about Sukihana. I think 90% of it is for the cameras. And 10% of it is authentic. But I think she chalks it up to the cameras. And I think at the end of the day, she's a mother. And you could tell she cares and she goes hard behind her kids.
Yeah.
You can tell that has been evidenced in the birthday party she recently threw for her child, and even chronicled on Love and Hip Hop. But they got together, they had a photo op, maybe they had a conversation. And I think it will be very interesting to see how she transitions from there. But bringing up Dr. Umar, because there was a very spirited conversation that he had one time on The Breakfast Club with Charlemagne, and they were talking about Deion Sanders, right? So another example of somebody who has a platform. Deion, as we know, is pro athlete, retired, played football, just fantastic at what he does. I don't know if he's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, we're not the podcast to confirm that. Like prime time. Right, a lot of people try to be like him. And
so he, as we know, went to go be the head coach at Jackson State, which is an HBCU. Shout out the HBCUs. And there was a lot of conversation because I guess he only stayed for 2 seasons?
A few years, a couple of years, yeah.
And then transitioned to Colorado University to be the head coach there. And there was conversation about him being a sellout. And, the questions were, did he spend enough time to at JSU and really use the platform that he has to elevate the causes of HBCUs. And to put them in a better place.
Yeah.
And I think there's some parallels to the conversation that we're having about just celebrities of color in general and their platforms, and whether they've leveraged those in a way to elevate, to climb, I keep always forgetting this, but they're climbing and they're lifting as they're going. So bringing the people behind them.
I will say though, HBCUs already have esteemed reputations. I mean, coming from, the Southern University, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, I will say, we have a large following. I think that, what he did for Jackson State in that time was fantastic. But there are a lot of HBCUs that already have that esteem, have the fan base, have the alumni chapters, have the recognition, the notoriety, and all those things. And so appreciate him for what he did. But I think that is also a testament to just what I was saying, right? Like, I'm very careful to say that we as Black people need to change ourselves because of what society, i.e. white people, expects, or what they're going to think about us.
Or what makes them feel
or what
safe.
makes them feel safe and comfortable. I think that, I think Deion had a great thing. He had a great example to continue to uplift the school that he was at, these players. The swag, of course, but he saw something at a white institution in the university that he thought was better. I don't know if it was money, I don't know if it was notoriety or opportunity, but in like the HBCU circles, there is no more conversation about him. There's no more excitement around like what he's doing at Jackson State, the program, et cetera. And I really don't hear a lot about what he's doing at Colorado State. Maybe because it's not a part of my algorithm or my crowd,
or maybe.
But I do know that he's trying to bring a lot of the things that he had at Jackson to Colorado. And, that can't be, you can't take the HBCU shine and transfer it.
Well, we see what happens when
that doesn't work. Like he was talking to them about like changing the band and playing some of the music that like the band. You can't do that.
Don't do that, deal.
Those skills are not transferable.
Don't do that.
Like, you know what I mean? And so, and the same goes for another thing that you said. Like, I think that at HBCUs, like, what happens and why they are so special is because they are enclaves for people who are rough around the edges, who may come in as a lost and confused 17 or 18-year-old person. And the teachers and the professors there, the professors and staff there, they care. So they mold you. The years between 17, 18 to 21, I feel like are pivotal.
Yep.
And I think I know what an HBCU does is transforms you from a child to an adult to function in this society within those 4 years. So it's not just about academics, but it's how you present in society. It's about how you carry yourself. It's about being aware of what you're up against once you leave the safety of the university in your parents' home. And I will say that's what the university did for me. And I know that it did that for a lot of its students. And so right now you see with the Sukis and, the Cardis and all these people who are deciding to show up the way that they've been showing up, that's just no guidance. Like, they're just trying to get it. And they're trying to get it the best way that they know how. And I don't knock them for that. And I think that even with Cardi, she's trying to change her image a little bit. Like she's, I know she's getting into politics. She was asked by like a couple of like the presidential hopefuls to like
Bernie.
To Bernie to like, send out, I guess, PSAs and things of that nature. I think, and that's fine. I respect that as well. But again, I think arrested development is real. If you don't have anybody to like teach you, show you, guide you, then you're just going to do and resort to what you know, child.
Yeah, that's true. And shameless plug, if you haven't tapped in yet to season 1, HBCU versus PWI,
Do it. It's hilarious.
It's a hilarious episode.
We look at that episode well, not the episode, child, but we look at the pictures,
right?
The stills all the time.
Because we were not recording at that point. And listen, give me grace, because that was before I started my reinvention.
I was like, you were on the incline.
That's when I realized I needed a reinvention. But yes, if you haven't tapped into that episode, catch it on Spotify. That's the only place you can find it. Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Oh, it's not on
We
YouTube.
did not record that one.
Oh, we were not on YouTube then.
Praise Jesus.
Thank God.
Yeah.
The stills still crack us up. The stills crack us
give
up.
us life. But yeah, tap into that conversation, because that really gives some insight to both of our experiences, the way you described the role that HBCUs play in so millions of students' lives and adults' lives. Yeah. Quite frankly, was beautiful. And you do equally as good of a job, and did it as equally good of a job explaining that when we had that episode. So tap into that conversation. Season 1, HBCU.
It's a good episode, y'all. It's a good one.
Yeah. So, the Dion thing, I don't really have a stick in the game on this one. I just don't. But I do think that there is, I do think it's interesting that there isn't as much conversation happening there. And listen, we want HBCUs to be known for a number of things: academics, athletics, alumni, contributions, and endowments, et cetera. But I think that there was an opportunity, had he maybe stayed a little bit longer, for that to kind of catch on with other HBCUs that we have. But
girl, they tried. They had a few others that had tried to go other places, and it was a big debacle. Like, I ain't gonna say that HBCUs are perfect. Like, we got our shit. We do it, but it takes a special type of person. Don't come in here from a big PWI and not understand like the culture of an HBCU. Like, at the end of the day, like, you have to know your audience. You know what I mean? And so I think a lot of these people get it fucked up because they think, okay, I went to this big university, I'm gonna just go ahead on to this HBCU and it's gonna be the same, or I'm gonna expect this, or I'm gonna whip this into shape within this amount of time. It don't work like that at an HBCU, child. You have to turn that ship around. You all know it takes a while to turn around a big ass ship. And so just understand the culture. It's not all perfect, but it was perfect for me, and it was perfect for a lot of people. Yeah. So I'll leave that there.
Yeah. So I think if we're gonna kind of put a bow on the conversation, there is a level of social responsibility, but we won't say that everybody needs to be a mentor and be looked up to.
Correct.
Somewhere in between. And you need to have people that are on either side of the spectrum, and absolutely need to have people somewhere in the middle, because you need people that have made it out of situations that look and or feel similar and familiar to ones that you've come out of. But you need to also have people that you see along the way that have gotten from the starting point to the midpoint, and who are at the pinnacle. And we have some great examples of that right now. And I agree with Cardi. I think she is transitioning. She has these moments where she goes back and forth, like when she threw that mic at that lady child. And
I would have done that.
The accuracy took me out.
Girl, I would have done that. Why would you throw some water on? Okay, this is going into what's popping.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Dang, I had something to say before we transitioned into
what we were talking about was...
What were you saying?
People that, like, you need people who start at the beginning, who are in the middle, who are at the end. And Cardi kind of teeters between the beginning and the middle. And that's kind of,
here we go.
Run it.
So... we got a comment on the conversation about Kiki that someone said that they were surprised that we felt that way because we said that her dress was nice. It was sheer. Yes, it was see-through. And her butt cheeks were out. They were visible. And we said that, she looked nice and agreed that she should be able to wear whatever she wants to wear. And it just kind of, when you were talking about just kind of being middle of the road on this, that kind of reminded me of that conversation, because I think that, our role is not to tell people what to do or be judgmental about people's decisions.
CWP role, right?
Yes, you and I, right? And so I'm always going to be for, women, doing what they want to do, showing up how they want to show up, being who they want to be. Like, that is the whole reasoning behind this podcast and a lot of things that we talk about. So we will never condemn a woman for, doing what she wants to do or wearing what she wants to wear, dressing the way that she wants to dress. And so, we don't really have a stance on social responsibility. Yes, we would like in our own opinions, because of the way we show up, people to, take that responsibility more serious. But at the end of the day, what my children who would be influenced by this type of behavior consume as their children is up to me. And that would be the only people who would be impacted by something that somebody else wants to do, how somebody else wants to live their life. So I just wanted to put that out there, because it seems like people want us to pick a side definitely, be finite about picking a side. And I just think, it's a slippery slope, because, I can see both sides, all spectrums, you know what I mean?
Of course.
So I just wanted to put that out there so our listeners can know, in case they're like, I'm disappointed that you all didn't say this or didn't say that. Like, I just don't think we will never, unless it's something extremely, extremely serious, but throw anybody, particularly Black women, under the bus like that. So
well, we're never going to do that, because look, society does that enough.
Right.
Right? It does that enough. This is not the platform for that. We will issue an opinion on certain things, and to your point, the things that are serious. But at the end of the day, we're pro-Black everything.
Yeah. So, all day, every day.
All day, everything.
Right.
And so it's not our job to render an opinion on that. Kiki looked great. Kiki was happy, glowing. And listen, just had a baby.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of y'all out there have just had babies, but we know that that's a dark time sometimes when you're coming out of that. And the fact that she felt secure enough and beautiful enough to put on that outfit and to get on a plane and go with her girlfriends to go have a moment with Usher. At the Usher concert.
I would have loved that at when I had my first
postpartum
baby.
Girl, the way I was rocking in that chair.
The way I was trying to get my skin together. I had acne for days.
I mean, if you know, you know.
If you know, you girl.
And so
I would have loved that.
The girls that get it. And it's not to be divisive in that statement, as much as it's just like, we are going to support Black women living their best life and doing it in a way that is not disparaging to the broader community every single day. So I remember seeing that comment and being like, oh, okay.
Well, you and us. So like,
we're going to let that sit there.
I think Sukiyana is learning. I'm sure she's young, at least younger than me. She's learning, she's growing. Did I cringe when I saw that video? Absolutely. I was just like, God damn, like, why? Why? But I can't discount her journey, her experience. Either, you know what I mean? And so everybody is different and everybody is on their own journey. Everybody have their own experiences and their own lives to live. Yes. So I could hope and wish a person shows up and acts a certain way, but at the end of the day, that's not up to me. So here we are.
Yes.
We could just provide another example.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I apologize. My AC is fixed. So
yay. Good. Yay for good AC, child.
Yeah. So, okay, let's turn this into what's popping. I don't know why I said what's popping. But
actually, I didn't prepare, child. I don't have a what's popping.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
Okay. So the what's popping that I had,
I could pull one real quick.
Yeah. The one that I had was about this guy.
I have one.
Our faves over here.
Who?
Happy anniversary, Boy Graham's World. our friends that we met at the Buku Classic.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, happy anniversary. Wanted to talk about this guy who apparently went on a date, went to a restaurant, got flowers, and did you see this one?
No.
Oh, okay. Went to a restaurant, got flowers, and got stood up by his date. And he was in Atlanta.
He was on the Instagram. He was like crying. I just want my person.
I just want my person. I just don't understand. And
girl, stop.
And I'm out here to laugh at him because who doesn't want their person?
Yeah.
I mean, there are people out there,
people
right?
are making some big decisions to find their person, child. They're risking it all for that person.
Right. And, when I saw that, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be honest. I felt bad for the man.
Girl.
I felt bad for the man because I was like, wait a minute. You've been talking to this person consistently for like 2 to 3 weeks. So you've gotten through you're in the talking stage.
Yeah.
And like there are stages: talking, dating, exclusivity, exclusivity, marriage.
Engagement,
then marriage.
Then marriage. Okay. Yes. Then comes the baby and the baby carriage. Okay.
So they were in the talking stage and transitioning from talking
to dating. Correct.
And this person did not show up
to the date.
Just did not show up to the date.
Girl.
And this man was big sad. Real bad sad. And I don't know, like if I look at, there was 174.3K likes on this particular story on the site that I was looking at. And I guess the question that I have is, why are we posting this to the socials? Why are we not taking our embarrassment, taking our L privately?
Posting everything online. That's what I said. I know more about people's lives than I need to know that I've ever knew in my entire life. I know how people live. I know what's going on in their lives. Like, everybody wants to bring everything to the socials. I don't know. I looked at his, I think he's a comedian. So I don't know if that was a joke or a skit.
I know. I did see that.
I know it happens every day. And that kind of goes back to our good guy versus bad guy conversations. Conversation. Sorry to that man. I don't know what to say. I don't know what happened between the conversing and dating stage. Maybe she found something that was an ick. Maybe she went on the social media and saw something she didn't like. But I remember being a single girly in my 20s. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't that nice. I really was. I was not that nice.
Were you a savage in your dating life?
I was savage.
In your dating life?
I really was. And it was immaturity. It was just definitely immaturity and a lack of growth. But I displayed some savagery in my dating life back when I was in my 20s, early 20s and college, late teens. Yeah. So
I'm in my dating era now.
Again. Ooh. Ooh.
Oh, and here's what I will say. If I were feeling icks from somebody that I was in the process of transitioning from conversing to dating with, to be honest, I probably would still go on the first date. I wouldn't stand him up. Because here's the thing, I wouldn't want that done to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't stand him up, or I would call and have a conversation to be like, you know what, really enjoyed the time that we've spent talking. I just feel like I want something different. But what I'm not doing is standing you up and having you show up to a restaurant.
With flowers,
with flowers, with, some level of excitement. Like, I'm going to calibrate expectations before we sit down and break bread. Yeah. Because, dates, I know dates cost money. Y'all heard my Mastro's order. But I'm just not going to do that. Like, I'm going to cut it off before it
I
gets
think
to
dating in your 40s is definitely different than dating in like your 20s. Like there's so much life to have. If you were still doing that now, I would think that there was something wrong with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like we know how to use our words appropriately.
Yep.
We know how to process our feelings, right? So there's a difference between then and now. I would call it mature dating. Yeah. Right. So, but yeah, I just think that like, yeah, that's a certain level. She saw something disturbed her, something turned her off, and she didn't have the words or the maturity to just communicate, you know, how she felt or what happened. Yeah. So sorry to that man, and sorry to all the men out there that like actually go through that, because I know it's a lot of them. Yeah. I mean, I know it happens more often than not.
Right. Then it should.
And then it should. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Did you have?
But there's so many. Okay. So I was just running through my mind. You have a funny one. I have a more serious one because you know I like to get into serious.
Can I just make a light one?
No, because we're going to need a light one really after I'm done with this one.
Oh, God. Okay. We're going to lift it up. All right.
Okay. So, and we're going past time. But anyway, so Florida public schools have decided to teach that there were some benefits to slavery. So they're saying that even though slavery was an atrocity, that the slaves somehow benefited from the skill sets, from a skill set that they learned or got through slavery. And I just think that that's an abomination. And I just think that it's such an abomination. And I'm so perturbed. And I just don't think enough people are in an uproar about this.
Should be.
We should be. Everybody should definitely be very upset, highly engaged to what's going on about this new standard of, education for the students in Florida. It's a high level of disappointment. I feel like it's a slap in the face to our ancestors and to us, because who's to say that, first of all, these people were held and confined against their will. Yeah. First of all, let's be honest. Kidnapped, transported. And we're not going to even go to the rape, the pillage, the death, separating mothers from their children, all of the things that these people had to endure. And then secondly, who's to say that these people didn't have these skills when they came here? We know that these people were the strongest of the strongest. They survived the ship ride from Africa all the way to America, when many people had, jumped over, committed suicide. They were on top of each other. There was feces, urine, all the things. Just imagine
the illness that came from the people who were transporting them, the plague,
exactly,
the ratatouille, all those things,
all the things that these people had to endure. These were the strongest of the strong. You so stupid. Not the ratatouille, bitch. I'm not dealing with it. I told you this is serious.
We can't do a whole bottle.
I'm not doing this today. I'm not being serious. I am very serious about this. When I get political, I'm serious.
That's right. Okay.
When I get political, I'm just saying. I just think that is I don't know. It's just it's sad where we have come to in a society that like these race politics are what people think will get them elected to be to the presidency. Yeah. And I feel like everybody should pay attention to what's happening and be more outraged about this new standard in education, because there was no benefit to slavery. There was nothing that came good. There was nothing good that came out of slavery. There was no skill set that our ancestors acquired that benefited them in any kind of way from slavery. I'm not accepting that. We're going to say slavery was what it was. Yeah. It was an abomination, and it's a shameful stain on America's past and our history. And it's shameful that people are trying to change that narrative.
Yeah. And, shame on Florida's governor, who shall go named, Ron DeSantis, who's really like leading this effort. And as I was getting ready to go to bed yesterday, I was watching a news program, and they were talking about just the state of affairs right now with Ron DeSantis, who, as we know, is a presidential bid. And they said this man is really running a whole entire campaign on like Donald Trump bashing.
Yeah,
and rightfully so. But at the end of the day, we've got to understand that, yes, he might be going after Donald Trump, but like recognize he's not even a snake in the grass. He's a snake on just a white marble floor.
Yeah.
Right. And what that means, if we think Trump was bad, we got to be really worried about DeSantis. And I know we don't try to make this a political platform, but we got to be really worried about a DeSantis if there's any way, shape, or form that he can get any type of Republican nomination for the presidency. Because the difference between him and Trump is that like he's really, really educated. Like he is far smarter than Trump. And if we think that what's happening in Florida is scary, imagine when you have a national platform to be able to make those types of
where
decisions.
He's electing judges,
right? And if
cabinet members.
We talked about this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
What's happening with the Supreme Court? We're talking about people who were elected into the Supreme Court decades ago who are finally making decisions that are impacting us today.
Girl, Mitch McConnell had a whole stroke on TV. I'm not laughing because these people are old. The fuck? Get these people out. I mean, they got to go. Like,
yes.
Somebody said, like, that is just how much power, like how they're trying to hold on the power. They're literally dying.
They're dying in front of us on
camera and still trying to hold on to whatever little power that they have. It's insane. It's disgusting.
And listen, like it's happening on both sides. I mean, Biden's falling all over the place.
Hey, girl,
too. He can't climb up the stairs. He's coming out of the cargo hold of Air Force One at this point. Like, look, it's bad all around. But what we know we got to do is we got to vote. This is why we only do the small bottles.
I cannot. We got to stop. This is it. I'm done. Okay.
This was a funny one I had.
What?
Carly's boyfriend. He's doing tours now. He about to pop up in Atlanta, try to find a woman. Love Island.
That.
He tried to find a woman.
Then I heard like he's doing it, but somebody told him, like his attorney or something told him not to post it.
But
he's still doing it.
It's out there, child. He promoted. He got a whole promoter.
So
he got a flyer.
So basically, Carly's worst nightmare is coming true,
right.
child. What she did all of this for
to prevent
is actually coming to fruition.
Get some good friends
and
around
she's gonna go to jail.
She gonna get her mugshot. She's smiling coy at the camera.
Girl,
and he's smiling coy for that flyer, child.
Girl, because his life is about to take off.
He going to the A, and of all the cities to go to, where the male-female ratio is completely imbalanced.
Completely.
He gonna find a wife or two. So, that's the episode.
That's what's popping. We're done. We're done.
This is why we went down to the 1.87 ml.
Exactly, not the full bottles, child.
Never again.
Never.
Okay. Well, listen, y'all know where to follow us. ChampagneWives at gmail.com, Champagne Wives Podcast on IG, Champagne Wives Podcast on TikTok, Champagne Wives Podcast on YouTube. Keep running those numbers up. Keep tapping into the conversation. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. And we'll see y'all next week.
Same time, same place. Bye, y'all.